and I'm getting the name all wrong. Hello, everybody. This is Perry Gruber. Looks like why is our sound muted? There we go. Hi, this is Perry Gruber from Devil's Advocate. We are going live stream here with Jill Dell, our Devil's Advocate, and we're here to talk about great things happening with copiosis, the sticky questions that everyone wants to ask but doesn't get a chance to. So we are here live on our YouTube channel. Feel free to. So let me introduce Jill Dell, our Devil's Advocate. Hey, Jill, how's it going?
It's going.
It is going. And last week we had a wonderful conversation about my background and about the military and government and things like that. And you said
Yeah.
you wanted to talk
Mhm.
about something different today. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I kind of want to delay the rest of that conversation because I still have a lot of questions about it. But recently, over this last week, you shared kind of like your vision for the future
I did.
and all the exciting things that are sort of coming together because of the synergy that we create to move forward. And I kind of wanted to, you know, have you talk a little bit about uh, where what's going on, what's happening, like what's new, how is this like actually becoming more and more of a possibility? It seems like week by week, it's just expanding.
It does, doesn't it?
So,
And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But you want to talk about what's happened or what's gonna happen or both? I mean, there's lots we can talk
well,
about, huh?
let's talk about like uh, what we've had some new people join the group, very important people that are going
Hmm.
to be very critical to helping us move forward.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot of moving parts. But basically, I want to touch on, you know, I guess what I want to explain to people is that this is definitely a growing movement. This isn't just stagnant and hanging out. It is definitely expanding and growing and reaching more and more people. So, you know, if you have the time or the passion or the inclination to, join us in whatever capacity you can, I want you to do kind of what I'm doing, which is just you might not totally grasp everything or believe it, but you see the possibility of the outcome and you're driven for and passionate about seeing that sort of outcome in your life or in the world, right?
Hmm.
Um, so just like what projects we have in the works for the next year or so, and kind of, you know, the transition plan, kind of like what you shared with us, in the last week or so, the 2021 to 2025 kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting because there are a lot of things to talk about. And for those of you who missed it, you can join the social group on Facebook. We have a post where we posted the live Facebook Live core group meeting where I gave a presentation about this strategy, and then also a member of our team, TC, created a clip of that recording that we're gonna have live on YouTube in a little bit. I think it's a 26-minute clip that just includes me making that presentation. And I'll put that link in the comment section when this show is done. That's a good idea. But yeah, there's a lot going on coming up, and
Okay.
essentially, so let's see, it's hard to do it without having the presentation in front of me. Um,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So I guess what I wanted you to touch on is, um, there's the game board, right?
yeah,
There's the demonstration project.
yeah.
There is the edu entertainment
Edutainment.
avenue, or
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
edutainment, or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
avenue that we are, path we're going down. And kind of to me, those are like, those are going to expand us tremendously. So let's kind of start with the game board because I'd like to hear what this game board's going to be a little bit more about that.
Sure. Let me first start by describing the transition plan generally. And
Okay.
then
All
we'll,
right.
because the game board plays a role in
Perfect.
that. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
transition plan, there are 7 phases in the transition plan, and we're only focusing on the first 3 right now because the other 4 are related specifically to um, government and national level transition steps,
Right.
stuff that we need many more people and bigger organizations participating in to accomplish those 4
Yeah.
steps. But
Right.
these first
Hmm.
3, the first one is phase 1, which is the communication and outreach. Um, the second phase is edutainment, as you said. And then the third phase is the political phase. And so
Hmm.
the first phase is all about what we're doing now. It's interesting because I thought at first that the phases would run after the other. So we do the outreach first, and then we get a certain critical mass, and then we switch over to the edutainment, and then we get a certain critical mass, and then we move to the politics. But how
Right.
Copios apparently is wanting to emerge is a blend of all of those. And so right now we're getting a lot of success in reaching out to people and having them come to the website and find out more and ask us questions either on Twitter or Facebook or through our contact page on Twitter. And then um, and then doing one of several things, either becoming a patron or joining the social group, and after joining the social group, becoming a member of the action group, and then participating with us as volunteers to help usher in copiosis. But what we're noticing is as more people come through that funnel, so to speak, they are of their own initiative using Stitchmergy, engaging on things that I didn't initially think would happen. Like you said, with the edutainment phase, there are people who are writing scripts right now for television series. There is a person who has expressed a desire to connect us with production teams in Hollywood to create the docu series and a potential reality show. That same person wants to connect us with a celebrity or two in Hollywood who'd be interested in being celebrity spokespersons for the innovation. So all those are right
Hmm.
in the edutainment phase, phase 2. And then in addition to that,
Yeah.
because we've had a couple of politically oriented people come on board, we're already starting the political phase. So we're developing the documentation that will train people in how to become politicians supporting the Copiosis Initiative. We are actually, you have inspired people, inspired our political experts to start pulling together some documentation on how to approach municipal entities in the United States to
Yeah.
engage them on potential municipal wide demonstration projects. So that's the political
Hmm.
phase that's already coming together. So with regard to the game
Yeah.
board, the game came together. So let's see, 2 years ago we had our own game. It was called The Brink that we were developing. Um, but we put that on hold because we were overwhelmed with our demonstration projects and didn't have time to follow through on that game
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
So recently, actually this year, another person came forward who is a developer, and he has a 200-acre property in North Carolina that he is offering to us. It's a developed piece of property with houses and industry. A farm is there. A tiny house community is being planned, and so is a makerspace. And so he has offered that location as a potential on the ground in real life demonstration project. In addition to that, he has a larger plan tied into this initiative where he wants to have a game that he developed called Weopoly that he wants to be the first phase of moving into a real life demonstration project. So the phase of this game board tactic would be first we engage people on a game board that teaches them how copiosis works. Then when they've participated in the game board, they then transition into like a weekend event that we're calling a summit, where people would
Mm.
participate in a tabletop exercise.
Right.
simulating what it's like to be in a copiosis environment. So that further stimulates their understanding of copiosis. Then once they pass through that, they get to participate in the real life demonstration project, which is on this piece of property. So the game board, the person I'm speaking with who invented this game board, his name is Kerry Lindsay. He developed this game modeled after the game Monopoly. And so on this game
Hmm.
board, instead of doing what you do on Monopoly, what you would do is you would move around the board. And as you move around the board, you'd interact with other players to develop property according to your passions. And as you do that and serve other players in playing the game, you accumulate net benefit rewards. And then as you accumulate net benefit rewards, you get the opportunity to use those net benefit rewards to consume luxuries. And of course, like Monopoly, there are two sets of cards, right? There's community chest and there's chance that you draw,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
those cards stimulate
Right.
gameplay,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. And so in this version of the game, you would have the opportunity to select cards that would move the game forward. So, for example, one of the cards might be a tornado has just struck in your hometown. You need to do things to recover the city. What would you do, for example? And then each of the players
Right.
would respond from their passions to support the redevelopment of that tornado disaster. And in responding,
Right.
they would receive MBR, obviously, because responding to a disaster where there's damage and mayhem creates net benefit value. So the
Right.
game is
Yeah.
designed, yeah. So the game is designed to kind of train people on the thinking necessary to be effective in a copiosis demonstration project.
Right.
That's the
Right.
game.
That's
Yeah, that's
cool.
how the game's gonna work. Yeah,
Oh,
and so
that's
so
fun.
we're yeah,
Yeah.
so it's interesting because all of our initiatives interconnect, and so we have a small team developing that's interested in um, using academia to spread copiosis, and they want to bring. In fact, I think you may have said this, Jill. They want to bring copiosis to schools and young people, so that young people can start
Hmm.
early developing this
Right. Yeah.
mindset. And so this game also is being considered being adapted to for young people to play with their parents in their homes, and for young people in schools to play um, with their schoolmates in classrooms. So there's lots of
Right.
application opportunity with this game. So that's one of the, is it one of the first things? Is it? So the first thing that we have to do with all of our initiatives for next year through 2025 is to develop this app, the application that will sit on people's phones that will allow people to play around with the algorithm and the software so they can see how what they do in the real world generates net benefit for them.
Right.
Of course, it's not going to
Right.
be able to
Yeah.
do that straight away because we don't have the resources at first to develop the full blown version. But in time, we want that application to be fully integrated with Facebook and other social media so that people can really use the app to generate net benefit for things that capitalism just doesn't value. Yeah.
Right. And would that be like if you have this app and people are inputting data and the algorithm is determining a net benefit for it, will you actually be setting up accounts and giving people net benefit, or is it just kind of a game that you play and
At
you get
first,
the net benefit and it stays in your account in the game or whatever? So you can go in now and you could buy luxury items or whatever in the game,
yeah,
right? Or
yeah,
in
we
the app.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that so far on those kind of decisions. It can go many different ways, right? So right
Sure.
now,
Yeah.
the way that Jarek, our CTO, is looking at the app is designing it initially to be able to measure the net benefit value of volunteerism. And the reason why we want to do that first is because our municipal projects, when they first launch, are probably going to be
Hmm.
oriented to volunteerism. And so we want the app to be able to measure the net benefit value of people volunteering in their community. So that's the
Right.
first phase, probably. And then after we get more funding coming in, then we're going to add more features to the app that ultimately could, before the transition to copiosis, ultimately you could be receiving net benefit for your acts in the capitalist world. And then the net benefit
Right.
that you'd receive would sit in your net benefit
Yeah.
account And then you could use those,
until
yeah, until we get like a business that's willing to honor net benefit rewards. So like you might,
sure.
before the transition, um, Outback Steakhouse might agree to honor uh, net benefit rewards as like worth, I don't know, 20 cents on the dollar or something like that. So instead of paying a dollar for French fries, for example, you might only pay 90 cents for French fries, and then you'd have to have 20,
Mm,
um, an amount of net benefit reward equal to the
sure.
remaining
Yeah.
20 cents.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting because there was something else I was going to say relative to the game and how it interacts with another element of copiosis. That's, oh, I remember. So another, before we can move forward with tangible progress on the game development, we need to put in
Yeah.
place a different structure for copiosis that allows for copiosis to take in funding from the general public and from
Right.
foundations. So the core team has agreed that we next year are going to pursue 501c3 status for Copiosis, which would make it a nonprofit organization. And that way we could take in grant funding and maybe even government funding and
Hmm.
public funding. So like donations from individuals that would be
Sure.
tax
Right. Or
deductible.
corporations or whatever. Yeah.
That's right.
Hmm. People
That's
that
really
are
important.
interested in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important. There
So
are,
that's exciting.
it's really
Uh,
exciting. So one of our
yeah.
teammates has identified like $40,000 and more of grant funding. One of the grants she was looking at was $750,000. So becoming a
Wow.
nonprofit is really going to open the door to a lot of potential fund. Now, I'm not
More
saying that we're,
opportunity.
yeah, opportunity. I'm not saying we're going to get all that money because we can apply,
Right.
but we might not get it. But it does make available money that wasn't previously available since we're a for-profit
Mhm.
organization. I should
Right.
add,
Yeah. And then also people who contribute to you in the current system, you know, are able to receive a tax write-off because they're donating to a nonprofit, which, it's not much, but it can be something, what I mean? It can be a little bit more of an incentive than just, getting nothing for it. You,
well,
you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, yeah. For someone who's
yeah.
donating like $20, it's not much of a deduction. But for someone who wants to
But a
donate,
million is just a little different. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. In
yeah,
fact, in fact, for a
yeah.
lot of rich people, that's the reason why they make the donation, or one of the reasons. And so,
Right.
as a nonprofit, we open the door to that level of private funding. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that could be
yeah.
substantial. Yeah.
So okay, so I know you talk about demonstration projects, but I'm not really clear, like, what is a demonstration project? I mean, describe for me exactly, like, what do you do when you're in this? I mean, what are the people doing when they're participating in this, you know, demonstration project? How does that actually work?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break first, and I'll answer that question. So,
Okay,
you
great.
viewers, you're watching Devil's Advocate. This is our live stream show where we talk about the difficult questions. We answer these questions relative to what people are asking, so that people can get a better understanding of what we're doing with our transition plan and our initiative. If you are watching for the first time, I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and click that bell so that you can be reminded or notified of our new videos or live streams that we schedule. And then also be sure to click that bell. And then also, if you are new to Copiosis, you can go to this website and find out everything about Copiosis on our homepage. And then if you've been here for a while, please consider becoming a patron of our work. And you can do that at this website where we list where all the money is going. And so, yeah, so we're here talking about the transition process and the demonstration projects and how what do people actually do with on these demonstration projects. So, Jill, do you want me to
Okay.
first talk about the previous demonstration projects, or would you like me to talk about this new demonstration project we're planning?
Well, let's talk about the new demonstration project because okay, so is there going to be like a structure or something there that they go to? And I don't understand what the property looks like, and then what the what you would run people through in terms of demonstrating gobiosis.
Right. So so initially so all of this is up in the air because we haven't gotten to the design aspect, but I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen, I think. So what we're going to be doing after people move through the game board phase and the
Yeah,
tabletop
right.
phase, then they have a pretty good idea of how to move through a copiosis environment. So
Okay.
so the land is just going to be the land. So there's going to already be people living there because there are people living there now, and there's already going to be
Mm.
businesses there because there are businesses now. There's a huge conference center and some rentals that you can rent, and there's, like I said, there's a makerspace where people are building companies, and there are vacation homes and beach homes and full-time livers that are living there and that kind of thing. So what I imagine will
Mm.
happen is that we will carve out some square footage or acreage on this property that will be dedicated to the demonstration project. There's also a farm there, by the way. And then the people who are participating in the demonstration project get the opportunity to develop the community. So we might start with tiny houses. So people who want to contribute to building the houses that people would live in, the tiny houses that people would live in for this demonstration project, would contribute to that. And maybe in terms of getting the lumber, because it's not a full blown copiosis environment. So we need inputs, we need capital goods to
Right.
build tiny
Yeah.
houses, for example. Those might be
Hmm.
donated through our nonprofit from Home Depot, for example. So Home Depot might
Right.
donate the lumber and the nails
Sure.
and whatnot to build these tiny houses, and then the participants would participate in building the tiny houses on the property that they or others would live in. And as they do that, of course, they're creating necessity housing, so they would receive net benefit reward for that necessity housing they contribute to building. Yeah. And then other
Right.
participants might lend their hand at the farm, or they might cultivate some of the empty land into a new farm, and the produce that's grown there would be necessity food, and that would be provided to the participants. Or we might get inputs from a local grocery store, like a Safeway in that part of North Carolina might donate some food as a donation to the nonprofit that would be available to the
Yeah.
participants to eat as necessity food. And then maybe even someone might decide they want to bake food while they're there, or make food in some way and provide it to the participants, and
Or
that
canned
person,
food or
or
canned vegetables or whatever. I
that's
mean,
right.
that could all be done too. You
Yeah,
could create a whole pantry of food, soups and stews and, vegetables and fruit and
yeah,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
yeah. The sky is
Yeah.
really the limit. So the participants, having moved through the game and having moved through the tabletop exercise, might, like you said, decide to bring a backpack of food to share. And so, or they might bring their own tools or lumber or what have you, already thinking about what they're going to do at
Right.
the
Right.
project.
Yeah.
So all of those
Exactly.
inputs would be used to develop the community. And as the community
Yeah.
grows, people receive net benefit. And then at some point, it's possible that participants might offer certain things that they designate as luxuries. So maybe there's
Mhm.
someone who comes and they want to create jewelry, but they want to offer that jewelry as a luxury. And maybe while they're there, they want to create a business in the copiosis community in the makerspace of jewelry making.
Right.
So this person's making
Right.
jewelry and offering it as a luxury item to participants. And
Yeah. Yeah.
when the participants use their MBR to get the jewelry
Hmm.
maker gets MBR for
Yeah.
providing those jewelries. So
Yeah.
there's really no telling what participants might do. It's all up to them, depending on what they want to do. And the big challenge is going to be getting the capital, the what do you call it? The capital goods that are necessary to
Couple of those.
jumpstart the
Yeah.
jumpstart the community, like lumber, the initial seeds that you need to plant, food for
Sure. Yeah.
meats and
Yeah.
vegetables
All
and
that stuff.
all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And of course,
Because
Carrie, the property owner, is contemplating taking out a real, you know what these are, real estate investment trust, a real estate investment trust to fund some of the development of the capital goods we need based on the value of the
cool.
property. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right. That's cool.
yeah.
So yeah. And then, it's really funny because I think that tiny houses are really, um, uh, one of the things that I want to encourage our city to do is make more land available for tiny houses because it's such affordable housing. And you could create a whole, tiny house community that has like a community center, and you can have them, plant fruit trees and each have space for gardens, and or have a big community garden space. And, you could create this whole tiny space community that's kind of based on copiosis and this sharing and this, like providing for each other and being a real, you know, to me, what is the traditional community, the kind of community that I grew up in, where you know, you can do nothing in our neighborhood that some mom didn't know what you were doing and tell your mom what you were doing.
That's right.
Like
Right.
it's a real community,
Right.
everybody knows everybody and they help each other out. And, people came and helped pick cherries and took home what they want and everybody canned. And, it's just the same, right? So I see that. I like to see that sort of real community be created. So,
Yeah. And
like
so
you
the
said, it's one of the things that I think would be really cool.
it is, and the idea of this the first one in North Carolina, the demonstration project,
Mhm.
is to then
Yeah.
attract enough attention so that we get other landowners interested in offering their land around the country to develop a network of demonstration projects in the US and ultimately a network of demonstration
Mm.
projects around the world. And so
Right.
think about this, as we develop the app and then develop the game and then develop the first demonstration project and then the second and the third and the fifth and the 10th, suddenly we have a lot of
Yeah.
momentum that will attract
Yeah.
a celebrity spokesperson, that will attract a production crew that will want to document what we're doing. We will have
Hmm.
more people interested in funding what we're doing because of the momentum we've created. We will have opportunities. It's going to be inevitable, Jill, when we get to that size, that companies like Safeway and Apple and other big companies are going to want to offer their goods and services in return for MBR because they're going to see the benefit of what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing has
Yeah.
happened with all progressive movements. The LGBT movement
Hmm.
is no different. A lot of companies now vigorously support LGBT issues because they see it as a win win for business and for society. We could say the
Hmm.
same thing for affirmative action. Um, we
Yeah.
could say the same thing for the disabled people. We could say the same thing for
Yeah.
veterans. Companies just naturally
Yeah.
do these things because it's the right thing to do. And I think they're going to feel the exact same way about copiosis. So eventually, what we're going to have is a network of demonstration projects that people can travel from one to the other and experience different versions of demonstration projects because no one demonstration project is
Yes.
going to be exactly like another.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then uh the documentaries or the reality could be based on the demonstration project and how people are, you know, like what they're doing with it and what, how it's growing and how, what they're building and what they're making and what they're growing and what they're,
Yeah. So
and
I
then and also like the benefits that they're receiving from that, not just NBR benefits, but their own soul
yes,
benefits to
Jill.
their own
Yes.
soul,
Yes.
being part of something that is not so uh, 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 profit minded. Profit
Yes.
minded.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more intuitive and just showing love. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
It's
I
interesting
think it's
because
be really cool.
it will be really cool. I see the reality show as focusing on the drama. So the challenges of making it happen, the personality conflicts that occur in the midst of it,
Mhm.
um, the
Yeah,
struggles that the participants go through in trying to make this work. So I see the reality show focusing on that. But the docu-series
yeah,
is going to focus on the truth of what's really going on, the things you just talked about, the significance of it,
right.
the impact to
Yeah,
people's lives the project is having, the
right.
feedback that people are having by participating, and the
Mhm.
larger purpose of Copiosis that supports the demonstration project. So it's good to have both the
Right.
demonstration project or the documentary series and the reality show if we can
And
pull
the
both off.
reality series. Yeah, yeah. Because if you see the kind of day-to-day struggle, but then the overall look of it is like sometimes you don't recognize how far you've come and how
Yes.
much you've accomplished
Yeah,
until, yeah, it's all sort of fits together,
that's
right?
exactly right.
And the documentary can be like, well, this is the struggle, but this is how it ended up fitting together, and this is the results. And
That's right.
just, like I was talking to my sister, and she was like, you can't get two people to agree on stuff. How are you going to get a committee of 50 or 100 people to agree on what the net benefit of, you know, whatever is? I'm like, well, that's a good question,
Well, it
right?
is it
Like
is a good question, and the answer is they don't have to agree on whether or not the thing is net beneficial because the in the
algorithm already in
well,
that.
in the process, the experts who looked into, let's say it's the benefits of farming salmon.
Okay.
So biologists and ichthyologists, which are fish scientists,
Mhm.
oceanographers,
Sure.
nutritionists, all these people with the highfalutin degrees, they're going to study the benefits versus the scientific benefits versus the scientific detriments of farming salmon. And so they
Hmm.
will present to the people who will decide all of the facts. So the people don't have
Hmm.
to agree on the facts. The facts are the facts. What the people have to
Right.
agree on is the so in calculating the algorithm measures, you have to take the data. So let's just use one aspect of eating salmon. So
Okay.
eating salmon,
All
I
right.
think, has omega-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so the
Good
so
for
the
you.
right. So the benefit of eating salmon, we know there's a benefit, there's a health benefit. Where
Yes.
on the
Health benefit.
scale, yep, where on the scale of the algorithm
Yeah.
does that benefit sit? That's what the public has to decide. And it doesn't have to be the way we've designed it is all those people don't have to agree. They just have to vote. And the vote that so there's a philosophy called the wisdom of the crowd. The wisdom of the crowd
Right.
says when you have a lot of people giving their opinion about their answer to a question, usually the the answer that the crowd gives when you aggregate it all is more
Yeah.
accurate than if an individual answers the question.
Right.
So we don't have to get the people to agree. We just have to get them a chance to vote, with the majority of the vote
Right.
going towards the decision. And so it's your sister has a good question, but the answer is we're not trying to get people to agree. We just want them to vote.
Yeah. We just want them to have an understanding of what the question is and what their objective is,
And
and
and their personal
their
opinion.
their personal opinion, and place a score on it. But
That's
not
right.
only their personal opinion, but if they think about, well, what would be the community's opinion at large? Like, what would my family think of this? What would my friends think of this? What would my, colleagues that I work with think of this? Like, not just myself, but I'm a voice of the community. So
Yeah.
maybe being a little more thoughtful about your decisions and your opinions and what you're expressing rather than, well, you know what I mean? Like some people just get all up in it.
Yeah, all up in it. Yeah. There there will
Yeah.
be I think there will be some people that'll be that way. Just
Well,
that's
sure.
because who they are. But most of the people, now remember, this isn't happening in private. This is all transparent and public. So people will see
Right.
what decisions you're
Exactly.
making. And so I think
Mhm.
I usually my experience of juries in actual court cases, I've served on juries, pretty much every American has. My experience is
Mhm.
when you get that group of people together, which are all different people, they're randomly selected, so there are no friends in there. When
Right.
you get those people together, they try to do their best to be um, honest and full of
Yeah.
integrity, and they basically try
Right.
and do a
Yeah.
good job, right?
Do a
So,
good job. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing will happen in this process. People are going to try to do a good job, and since it's going to
Yeah.
be
I
transparent
agree.
and open, I don't think you're going to get a
Yeah.
lot of conflict happening. And
And
our, our newest version encourages all 8 billion people to participate, not just a random select sample. We want everybody to
oh,
participate.
oh, really? How are you going to do that?
Well, so you don't have to all do it at the same time. What we would do is through the app, we would issue the questions alongside the presentations and then to everybody through their devices. And when they have time,
Mhm.
they just set aside and watch a few presentations, and then they select what they want to select based on the
What they
questions we
think?
offer them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that I think that would so it's like a voting system rather
Yes.
than for all and anybody and, people who wanna give an opinion and wanna
Yep.
take the time to do that, you
Yep.
know?
And
Yeah.
for and
Okay,
for
so
and for just to clarify, and for a location that's like Oregon City, if Oregon City is considering a change to the algorithm, Oregon City's votes way more heavily than like a vote in Beijing, China,
right,
right?
right.
Right.
Or Portland.
Or even
Right.
Portland. That's right. Right.
Yeah. For our particular community, if we're doing something that's more community based, like, you know, w we, we
Like how
wanna
much?
know what the net
Yes. Go
like,
ahead.
we wanna know what the net benefit would be for, removing the sewage system that's currently on the river to a new location, although this would be a tremendous effort and yada, yada, yada. But we want to know what the net benefit would be. And this many people think in the community think there's no benefit to that, that that's stupid. And then there's this many people that think, well, looking to the future, we think this is going to be a huge benefit. You're returning the river system to its natural state, for one thing, and you're not going to have sewage overflow when they're, what I mean? Like
Yep.
working out that just for our particular little community, you could also just address the community, like
That's right. That's right. The same
all the
system.
residents of the
Yeah,
community.
right. The same system that would be used to get people's votes can also be used to educate people before the vote. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
But they also don't need to be registered to vote, right?
Well, so it's
Just
interesting. It's interesting
they
because
have to be.
it's interesting because our
Okay.
political strategist is saying that by the time we get our app up and running, the process of voting in the United States will be all digital anyway, which will allow for all Americans to register. So there'll be no way to suppress voter registration anymore because it will be digital, which is
Right.
interesting. Let's take another
Yeah.
break. It's
Yeah.
it's quarter it's 20
Okay.
till. So this is
Okay.
Devil's Advocate you're watching, our live stream every Monday at 1 p.m. We talk about the sticky questions and give some juicy answers to those sticky questions that people ask via the internet or from Jill's head or from her sister's uh, perspective, as you just heard. And if you're interested in finding out more about copiosis, if this is your first time hearing about copiosis, you can go to this website and learn all about us. Or if you've been here for a while and you're interested in becoming a patron, please go to this website and you can find out where all the money goes and make a donation or a patron. You can set up a patronage for as little as $1 a month. Um, and then if you're new to our YouTube channel, I suggest that you subscribe by hitting that subscribe button and also ringing the bell so that you are updated every time we post a new video to the YouTube channel. So thank you for watching. Let's get right back to it. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
the app is crucial, and as you saw in the presentation. Oh, by the way, viewers, we're going to link the 26-minute video, that recording of the strategic plan, the roadmap that I did Friday. It's going to be in the comment section, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel in case you want to watch it. But the strategic plan includes a lot of new things that all work together to amplify each other. And so this game that we're talking about, and the app, the app, it's central to everything we do. And at the last, or the third to the last slide that I showed in that presentation, it showed the new organizational chart for Copiosis at 2015. And it shows that the app is central to everything we're doing. So we have, like, upper left corner of that organization chart were all the demonstration projects. At the top of the chart were all the industrial projects that we're doing. On the other side of the chart are all the municipal projects we're doing. And then underneath the chart is all the framework of the Copiosis organization. And then in the center of that chart is the Copiosis application. So that Copiosis application is central to everything that we do. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so then going forward on, then like on the political side, then if we, getting into dialing down more into like city governments and maybe county governments and even state governments, and looking at ways to encourage the sort of maybe the vision of Copiosis, and the way that Copiosis could help them determine what they're doing and how they're going about it, who has the best results. But we need the app, and we need data in the app to get that going. So are we at a point with the programming that it is ready or capable of receiving data?
We are not at that point. So the current version of the software was put together in 2014 or 15, and it is not adequate to do the demonstration project we've been talking about today. Jarek, the
Okay.
CTO, is going to work with the open source community to pull together a new version of the app. So the app will be written in software that includes the algorithm, but the software has to have some sort of on ramp, let's call it, for data to be fed into the software. None of that work has been done. Jarek is thinking about it and conceptualizing in his head how it would look. But I don't want, as the organization's founder, I don't want Jarek to start working on something that significant, because it's really significant what he's planning to do. And I don't want him to start working on it until we can pay him for his time. And so
Oh, I see.
this is the importance of the nonprofit organization, because the nonprofit
Okay. Yeah.
organization gives us access to tens of thousands of dollars. And Jarek's expertise right now, he gets offers from blue chip stock businesses that are willing to pay him over $100,000 for his time. So in
Mm-hmm.
order to get his time, we're going to have to match that level of income for him. And so
Right.
I want to be able to
You
pay.
want to be at that point. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And you might, as things get going, you might be able to attract some other programmers that are interested in cooperating with him to, work out the bugs and test the system and upload data and do all the kind of things that, need to be done to just to put the program together. And then
Well,
you've got to add your your hollow chains and all that other stuff if you're going to actually give NBR, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's like, so Jarek, I think we can provide Jarek a paid position, and as part of that paid position, he would work with the global open source community that would be doing it just
Mhm.
because they're passionate about it and excited about the
Oh,
project.
I see.
So we don't
Oh,
have to
cool.
pay
Okay.
those people. We just need someone
Right.
who's smart enough to coordinate the
Yeah.
coordination of all those other people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. I think it's really going to be, it's happening.
It is
It's
happening, and it's
happening.
and it's funny. At the beginning of
Yeah.
the hour, you talked about some of the people that have come to Copiosis in this last year, and it's important relative to what you just said about it's happening. So look, in the last 11 months, here are the people who have come to us. I'm not going to use their names. We have a person with connections in Hollywood who has her own PR business and knows personally celebrities who potentially might become celebrity spokespersons. In addition, she also is involved pretty intimately in the Democratic Party in the Northeast part of the United States. In this year, we've also attracted a, a political expert who is also an economist who runs the legislature in Michigan, or is the legislative director of the Michigan House of Representatives. We've also attracted a longtime developer who owns a 200-acre parcel of property that's mostly largely developed, who is offering that and a game concept to Copiosis. We've also, in this year, we've also attracted the CEO of a cryptocurrency uh, startup from Asia. We have attracted a large number of highly skilled people who are excited about
Yeah.
what we're doing. And we didn't have, so
Yeah.
think about it, Jill. There's no way. I mean, I could have gone to LinkedIn and found some people with those kind of skills and those kind of assets and that kind of value, and maybe reached out to them and see if they would be willing to join Copiosis. But it's a crapshoot, right? It was unlikely that I would have found these specific people who
These
not only
people.
have these skills and assets, but also are passionate about what we're doing. And this is why I
Yeah.
say
Yeah. Yeah.
our
They come
innovation,
to you.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
They
our
come to you.
innovation is
Yeah.
drawing the right people, and there's no
Yeah.
disputing it. There's no so some people on Twitter say this is never going to work, but like you just said, it is working, and this is the
It's already
evidence.
working. It's
Yes,
already happening.
it's
It's
already
already,
happening.
I just see the expansion of the movement. Just, there's so many more people. Well, I think kind of this time where people have a little bit more time on their hands,
Yep,
that they are exploring other options
yep,
and they are looking for, they feel discouraged for whatever reasons in the situation that they're in now,
yeah,
and they want some hope, and they don't like what's, the damage that we've been doing to the earth, and the whole, petroleum is not a renewable energy, so we've got to be able to move on to something else. And it's not to say that there aren't people doing amazing things out there
that's right,
already
right.
within the systems that we currently have. The difference that I see is that with copiosis, that would just catch fire and spread and happen in a much quicker way than it is happening now,
And why is that?
I don't
Because money isn't standing in the way, preventing people from doing things. So like right
exactly,
now, it's like I will do that,
exactly.
but you have to pay me. And it's like, or I'll
Yeah,
give you these goods that you can use to create this new alternative, but you have to pay me. And in a lot of cases, like with regard to petroleum, in many for a long time, renewable energy like wind and solar couldn't be accomplished because it was too expensive relative to the cost of oil to do them.
right,
So it costs too
right.
much. But in Copiosis,
Yeah,
it doesn't cost anything to do those things. So
yeah.
everything can
Well,
happen.
it's a lot cheaper now. It
That's
actually
true. That's
yeah,
true.
is a lot cheaper now. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. I just remember there's something really cool that the oil industry just did when Saudi Arabia lowered the oil prices to like $30 a barrel. It shut down all of it,
Yes.
bankrupted all of these fracking
Yes.
companies and
Yes.
you know horrible, horrible, terrible operations going on, just completely, completely destroying the earth. So that was a good thing.
It was.
But
It
they sure
was.
ticked off a lot of people,
It did. It put
right?
a lot of people out of business. And it's like,
Yeah,
and it's funny because so in copiosis, and it's arguable. Some people will argue that that what you just said about the environmental impacts of fracking aren't real. And so it's up to, and here's the thing, like, so there, so some of my clients, I've talked about how reality is created and how each reality is unique to the perceiver. So for the person who
sure, of
doesn't believe that
course.
those
Yeah,
environmental impacts are real, it's true for that person. But
yeah,
here's the good thing about humanity and the wisdom of the crowd. The wisdom of the crowd knows what's good for the planet. And so when the experts present information about something like fracking, you can present the good
yeah,
and you can present what you think is true, and you can present what you think is true, and then the crowd gets to decide, and it's likely
yeah,
that the crowd will lean in the direction of preserving the planet. So it's not like
yeah.
fracking is bad. There are some benefits of fracking, but the crowd will say, relative to other technologies, fracking isn't worth
Yes.
doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the whole bottom line.
That's right.
It's still not worth doing. There's other ways to create energy that
That's
aren't
right.
as maybe destructive or possibly destructive, you know.
Yeah,
So
there
yeah,
yeah,
I mean
there
that's just one example of you know kind of the why I'm excited about copiosis. I keep reminding people, but just like anybody who joins up, there, you know, I I want a PhD in copiosis, basically, right? I want to thoroughly get it, and it is evolving and it is changing,
mhm, yeah.
I'm sure it will continue to evolve and
Mhm.
change. But I want to have an understanding enough about it that when my niece or my daughter or a friend asks me, well, really, that's just communism or that's just socialism or that's just whatever, I can honestly have clear, easy answers for how it's not exactly that. It's not, there's no central government and there's no taxes and each person is a sovereign state and they're
Mhm.
free to do as they please.
Mhm.
Now, you know, so it was really cute because my niece is like, well, what if they just play video? They're just going to get free food and house and everything for just sitting around playing video games all day. And I said, what do you care?
Exactly.
Well, it's costing you. They're using resources. Well, they're going to use resources anyway. They're alive. They're a human being. So
Exactly.
what do you care if they do that?
Yeah,
you know and maybe there's a benefit to them doing that, like
that's
maybe
right.
they become so passionate about video games that they decide that they want to make video games, or maybe they want to be a video game tester and
That's
they're the
right.
best video game tester out there,
That's
and they
right.
go, this thing's a POS and this thing's awesome, and they can do reviews on it for everybody so they don't buy the POS and they like I said, you don't know where their path is going to lead.
That's
And you
right.
can't worry about that. You don't know where their path is your next door neighbor's path is leading, nor should you care. What concern of it is to you? Well, but they're getting, so what? Everybody's getting,
Exactly
right
right.
now,
That's right.
everybody's getting anyway. Everybody's getting what they want. If
Good
they
point.
want it bad enough, what do you care?
That's right.
Whether they ate steak tonight or beans, right? Like, what do you care?
Yeah.
It's what society as a whole can do, you know?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
funny. it's funny because there's this new platform called TikTok, and there's a lot of people going on TikTok and playing on TikTok. But what's happening
Yeah.
behind the scenes of TikTok is the company that owns TikTok is using TikTok to develop artificial intelligence. So every time
Hmm.
someone goes and plays on TikTok, they're helping the development of artificial intelligence. That's huge value that's being created by
That's a huge
people.
value, right?
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how they could get any intelligence off of the things that are posted on TikTok, but okay. It's certainly, I would call it artificial intelligence. Sorry, sorry.
that's
'Cause
great.
not all TikTok, but
No, that's a
from
good play on words there.
the little I've seen. Good luck with that. If that's the intelligence you end up with, I wonder how that'll work.
Yeah, it might be facial recognition. It's some sort of advanced technology that they're using the
Well, I'm
data they're
sure it's
getting.
D, all the above. Anything and
Probably,
anything they can
probably.
do, they mine it like gold.
Yes,
We're just giving
exactly.
them gold for free, and they're
Exactly.
mining it, and they're gonna use it however they see fit, regardless of what you want or need, or you know. That's the way it's going.
Right now, that's exactly right. So
The way it's
we've
going.
we've got 3 minutes left, so this is a perfect time
3
to
minutes.
end the show. Yeah, let's end with a nice little
Yes.
promo. So, you audience,
Yeah.
you've been watching this wonderful show involving me and let's make sure my thing is working. Me and Jill Dell, me Perry Gruber, the founder of Copiosis, and Jill Dell there, the devil's advocate and contributor to the implementation that is Copiosis. We've been talking about the strategic plan for 2021 through 2025, 2025. And you can find out more about that in the comment section. We're going to post a link, or in the description, maybe we'll post a link to the video where I made a 26-minute presentation about our roadmap for 2015 to 2025. And if you're interested in finding out more about Copiosis, we encourage you to, number one, come back and watch this show. It happens every Monday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. But if you are not getting enough between episodes, you can go to this website and find out all about Copiosis. You want to become a patron, maybe you've been around Copiosis a while and you like the progress we're making and you want to see more progress. You can do that by contributing, becoming a patron and contributing anything between $1 or the sky's the limit at this website. And then finally, feel free to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube because we are increasingly putting more content up here that's interesting and informative. And then lastly, if you're interested to join the vibrant conversation taking place on social media, you can go to Facebook and search for Copiosis Social Group on Facebook, and you will find a community of almost 1,000 people talking about the wonderful things that we are producing with our implementation plan. And then finally, I just say, if you're interested, find us on any social media platform and be sure to like and follow us to just keep up to speed on what we're doing. Jill, it's been a wonderful hour once again. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
me. Yeah. And maybe
Always entertaining.
always entertaining. And maybe next time we will talk more about the government and the military because that's a really important
Yeah,
topic. Maybe.
government, military, CIA, all the infrastructure of security and protection and all of that. Yeah, I think it's uh, you know really important.
I agree. I agree. Okay, audience. Well, next time we'll see you.
All
Are we
right.
going to do a show next week? We'll decide, and we'll let you guys know on the YouTube channel
Yeah.
whether we decide to do a show for the next couple of weeks of the year. All right.
Okay.
Have a
Merry
good one,
Christmas.
everybody. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye bye.